This is a very interesting one. So maybe I can share some also. Basically, it's very interesting to keep on top of what's happening with the health crisis for not just the very nature of the issue, but also for the very fact that it impacts directly and indirectly the markets. So we can actually see, Mac, if I can share my screen, that we can actually see that there's the fear of the markets that is also driving the sentiment of where everything is going. So we can see here we've got consumer spending surged in May, okay, but we were expecting this because we discussed in the last couple weeks. For the last couple weeks, we've been talking about it. How we've got those fake unemployment figures that came out, right? And that was followed by the, I don't want to call it fake, let's just call it hard to disprove retail sales numbers that came out right after that. So this would be the next one that they would, try to make it look as good as possible. And, this is just a few states here, but you can see the people are seeming to use that stimulus money they're getting, that extra $600 seems to be working to make people want to go out and spend it for now, at least. Right. So we got to keep in mind that may not remain the case because the other number, like we said, the reality does hit eventually. You can see even the unemployment rate, it did come down. That's what we're referring to. We were expecting a spike up from like about 14.7% up to 19.7%. What ended up happening? It dropped, which means that instead of losing jobs, people apparently, supposedly, hypothetically, maybe actually added to 2 million jobs, which is, what? You got to look into deeply how they calculate the unemployment rate. It's, do people give up searching? How much are they earning per hour? Are they working less hours? And also, did they give up looking for a job? Or, it's just, are they working less in general? So to keep things short, I just want to say, this is also broken down by race here because there is an issue of the riots that could escalate. There's a lot of things at play simultaneously, and things could easily be a downward spiral where one thing leads to another, and then back again. So it's going to be interesting to watch how that ends up playing out. Then what we have also is we can actually break it down by state, because we've actually had, I'm not even worried about exact numbers. Okay, myself, I just have to mention them because that's what people are mentioning. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean that's our stance, but what we believe is good to pay attention to the sentiment because for the last maybe 2 months, I stopped following the numbers on a daily basis. Okay, I started realizing, there's things that are happening that could be more important than the exact number. I also saw that the fear was waning in the markets. So now I just this week rather, started following the number again. Okay, because now I see that it's starting to play out. And guess what? Lo and behold, for 2 months, it wasn't a big deal. And now it is. We have 9.6 million new cases apparently, and that's 40,000 just today. That's just the highest number ever for this pandemic. Okay, so Texas jumped 4.3%, which exceeds the 7-day rolling average. And actually, you can see down here all of the southern states that are like vacation spots seem to be Nevada tourism, Florida tourism, right? I'm surprised Hawaii doesn't have more. But that's the point. We used to be up in the Northwest. Now it's gone down to the southern states, and we have big numbers. So the average in Texas, the rolling 7-day average is 4.1%. It's now jumped to 4.3 this week. So, it's about to go into quarantine again, Texas. They just announced they're rolling back the opening up, and that's in several states now. So I have a feeling that country, so a lot of other countries are going to follow suit. And at the same time, I do want to mention this. I have heard that there's already vaccines being injected in Africa. Okay, so it's a funny time when you have the vaccine already started to be used in some places. At the same time, there's now a spike in cases. Okay, so Florida, they're suspending alcohol consumption at bars statewide due to COVID, right? So UK, we have a comment here, is already has a med for treating. Well, that's funny when if the virus went away by itself completely, there would be no need for any vaccine. So just want to mention that on a completely non-related topic. So it's funny how everything's playing out at the same time. Florida. So actually, Florida, 7.8% from the day before, 9,000 cases today alone. Okay, so even if that were to go down, it's not going to be a big dent because we're having crazy numbers, and I have a feeling, this is not a second wave. I think this is still a first wave, by the way. Okay, if you check this out, it's still the whole screen is one wave. Okay, it may look like a second one, but not when you see what is about to come. I have a feeling that the trajectory we're on, we could easily see also with the way that things were opened up, and just my hunch that we could see bigger numbers. And again, when the markets, they know it's coming, it's not until it happens when the market sells off. For some people wait till they are confirmed when they get the statistics before they actually go ahead and sell. So there's always those laggers that will cause that. So one thing I look for is not just the one country. I look at multiple countries. So I'll look at here. We can see in the US, how is that rolling average? Because I, again, want to avoid the daily noise. We saw what happened with Ed's numbers when the statistics are falling, and then they spike in one day to make up more than all of the declines put together for the previous week. So we look at the rolling average, and you can see even that is on a huge, it's like compounding. Okay, pretty scary stuff. But at the same time, look at Europe. The blue line is not. So this, I'm just mentioning for those Forex traders out there, may want to keep note on that. If that doesn't also start escalating, or at least not as fast as US and North America, you may be a Forex trader benefiting by looking at, how the Euro's currency might do weaker than the European version. Okay, just a heads up on that. So, the funny part is one of the indicators some people use are the fact that Pence, vice president, who's the charge of the task force for this health crisis, he said, quote, "We have more remarkable progress," end quote. So, it seems to be the last time he said that was in the midst of the curve spiking. So, that's bad sign, I guess, if you take it that way. That could be your best indicator that things are not fine. So here we go. You can see now some more numbers that are quite important to watch, and we'll wrap up real quickly here, just to stay on schedule. But basically, you can see here, while we're on the track of looking at all different countries that all have different currencies, you can get a hint at which ones can be better off even before any technical analysis, which we can do at the end of this presentation. So if you guys stick around to the very, very end, we're going to pull up charts and do random questions, and also rapid fire charting and technical analysis for any quote or stock or Forex or anything you want to look up. I'll pull up a chart for and draw some technical analysis on. But this is a good thing that you can look at fundamentally also how the countries are doing in this time period. You can see on this list the one that's the smallest, right? So it looks like of all the countries, China is better off than all of them, right? So if we take a peek just at what's going on here, it's good to pay attention to how the relationships between different countries are affecting each other. So, at the same time, one country might do well, right? And others might do even better. So here you can see the trade, how that's going, right? And you can see it's still quite a bit of ways from the target, even though it's half a year already gone, right? So we'll see if that impacts North America even more than Asia, right, going forward. And also, you can see here when it comes to trade, the United States is feeling like they're left behind because all these other countries that their closest trading partners are seem to have higher bound rates, which is the fee they charge. So, this is not good for the US when they're doing trade with all these. And more importantly for you guys, regardless of the relationship between any two countries, you got to pay attention now. One person, and that last name is Trump. What is he going to do? Is he going to now pick on one of these countries like Europe, not even country, like a bunch of countries, and say, look, I'm not happy with these bound rates that you're higher than us. And, we're losing out on everyone we do business with. Mexico, Brazil, everyone, India, they all have higher bound rates. So, if he starts to pick a fight, this is not the best time. In fact, not until after the election. The only thing is that maybe he sees it as the only way to get reelected, to cause a fight, to show that he needs to be used to finish the fight that he started, because no one can do it better than him once he knows the inner workings of that discussion. So that's just something to keep an eye on. And the U.S.-China relations, the tensions, we'll see how they go, right, with Trump and with the phase one deal, and even with this health crisis, how it grows or not, we'll see. But yeah, we're gonna see. We had the Trilateral Commission, right? Or no, the Council on Foreign Relations president. He said that the China-U.S. Relationship is the single most important bilateral relationship of this century. So that means we all got to keep an eye on it, see what is the tension. Now, keep in mind, there's going to be hard talk here and there. We can't really take it for word because no one can figure out what is really going on, including the countries themselves, when you have like tough talk and not tough talk going back and forth all the time as a negotiation maybe tactic. So we'll have to just wait and see for the results to play out and how they play out. But we have, also a month ago, the New York Stock Exchange, this is another hint we look for, how things are going for in terms of the severity of any health crisis. Are they going to, again, remove traders from the floor of the exchange wearing masks? Are they going to tell people you got to go to a restaurant and you have to wear a mask in a restaurant? So how are you going to eat, right? So it's going to be interesting to see that again, if this so-called second wave, which I believe is still a first wave, plays out. And, that's going to impact businesses. For now, we do see businesses are doing okay for raising capital. The reason this number is a little bit lower is because there's companies now seeing that they don't even need to IPO. They just go directly to be listed, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how many companies and what companies get listed or delisted from the exchanges. But that's pretty much it for the time. So we have a brief summary of what's going on, shaping up in this economy right here. And, we want to pay attention to what's happening with the macro top-down politics, right? Because we want to know that everything is affecting each other directly or indirectly. And we want to keep an eye on things. We accurately called a lot of things last week. We were talking about even some stocks. But we'll bring up stocks at the end, right? We can touch base on how they went. And, see, like we did call, there was this company here. We did make the prediction up here around $30, right? When someone asked about it, we pulled up the chart and said, look at this chart. Well, just look at this MACD, right? You can see it's trajecting lower, right? And it was already dropping at that time. So I'm saying, I'm bearish on this. And it had quite the drop, It went from 30 down to 20. Last week, we also brought this to people's attention, how look at this, June 17th, right? I have so much stuff open on my computer, it's slow right now, but, we can see here, June 17th, we were talking about this article here saying Asia stocks turn cautious on virus surge. So if you look at it, we were talking about this, what the rest of the world is talking about a week in advance. That gives you a big edge if you can predict what will be on the news in 24 hours. If you do that every day, you don't have to be the best trader to make money in the markets. But yeah, we'll go over some of the different stocks we talked about. This is another big week. It's almost feeling like every single week there's so much stuff happening. I'll be surprised if there was a week that it was boring. It's the new normal. Is the only constant is change now. And you can see, like, one thing we do also like to mention before we move on to the first speaker is that we look at the VIX index often, right? That's a big quick gauge that you can stay on top of the so-called fear gauge. It gives us a hint of what is the understanding of the market participants right now. You can see here that it has potentially got the ability to start heading back up here, like if this was a bull shape. However, this stochastics here, this is a 4-hour candle chart, is got like room to go up. It's trajecting higher now, but not from a very low position. It's from a medium position, so it's not got a lot of power behind it, but it can still rise a little bit. If this rises, that means the markets could move more up and down, most likely in the down direction. So we'll see how that plays out. If I zoom out here, go to like a 1-day candle chart, we can see again, it's same story. It's in the middle, which is neutral. However, you can see the tiny little tick up that this trajectory could cause the VIX to go from 34.7 back up to around 50, right? That's always a possibility, but it is in the nice neutral range here between the 50 and the 100-day moving average, right inside the Bollinger Bands. So nothing extremely out of the ordinary, but that can change very fast. Just like all last year, we were saying that, the VIX around 12 doesn't mean it's going to stay there. And, we got out at 45 and then it continued all the way up to 80 VIX, right? So keep that in mind. This is now more bullish for the VIX, which is bearish for markets. Yeah, definitely it's powerful stuff that can give you hints, right? And then, like, it's important, like myself, I look at fundamentals, technicals, geopolitical events, sentimental analysis. All of it is like, picture driving down the highway with a blindfold on, right? It's very good if you look at one thing, but it's even better if you look at two things. Take in as much information as possible before making informed decisions. So as Ed was saying, look at the stochastics. Even if you don't know what that is, really quickly you can see it's down here. So it's like a floor and a ceiling, and you can see it's got a lot more room to the upside next. So we zoomed out all the way to the weekly candles, and this VIX is not only looking like it's about to go up, trajecting higher, it's also doing it from a very, very low position. Unlike the previous time frames when we saw it was not near the middle already, the long term looks like we're about to see this thing to start rising for a while, and it can stay that way. So this is not shaping up to be a good summer for markets, because usually when the VIX goes up, that means there's more panic. That's why they call it the fear gauge. And that's a hint, something to look at out of many things. And it could be even not even a lagging indicator. This could be a good forward-looking indicator. Another one that we want to look at is gold all the time. Here we can see that it's maybe going to go down. Gold is the opposite. Look at this. Gold is already in overbought territory, and this MACD here looks like it can drop. So, just to give you guys a sample of what we're talking about when we say technical analysis, this is what we can start doing more of. I'm open to doing more workshops with you guys. If you want to do that, we can definitely put some on. I don't mind doing that, and it would be free, of course. But basically, what we would do is say, look at here. Just draw a line here, right? Let's make it purple. And down here. So if I just replicate that line, right, you can see that really quickly I can teach someone how to do this without even having any experience. And even sophisticated traders or complete rookie traders, they can see that I can not just get the direction, but the target. So that tells me how far down I believe this can drop.